Hello, welcome to our second video. Before anything, please subscribe to our channel, like it and write your comments. Let's go to the video. World War II was World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945. Most of the countries of the world, including the great powers, took part in this war and gradually came together in the form of two military alliances. The first group was called the Allies and the second group was called the Axis powers. The two military alliances waged a full-scale war that involved more than 100 million people from more than 30 countries. Most of the participants in this war mobilized all their economic, industrial and scientific capabilities for military support to the extent that the cost limit of military and civilian forces was unclear. It is estimated that between 70 and 85 million people were killed in World War II, making it the deadliest battle in human history. Most of those killed were Soviet and Chinese civilians, including those from the Holocaust, strategic bombing, starvation and disease, and, among others, nuclear weapons in World War II casualties. From top left, Chinese forces in the Battle of Wanjialing, Australian Ponder 25 cannon early in the Battle of the Worlds, 87 German bunkers bombers on the Eastern Front in December 1943. A U.S. Navy unit during the Battle of Lingayen Bay, Wilhelm Keitel signing the terms of the surrender of the Germans, Soviet forces at the Battle of Stalingrad September 1939 to September 2, 1945, Europe, the 9th of September 1318 to the 11th of September 1324, location Europe, Pacific, Atlantic, Southeast Asia, China, Middle East, Mediterranean, North Africa, Horn of Africa and battles few in North and South America. The result of the Allied victory, the fall of Nazi Germany, the fall of the Japanese Empire and the Italian Empire, occupation of Germany and Japan and the Italian bases by the Allies, establishment of the United Nations and creation of the League of Nations. The beginning of the nuclear age, the beginning of the Cold War and many other causes of war. Severe sanctions imposed on Germany during the Treaty of Versailles, declaration of war on Britain and France. U.S., British and Dutch sanctions on Japan, blockade of Japanese and U.S. assets, Allied fighters, U.S., United Kingdom, Britain, Nazi Germany, Empire of Japan, Kingdom of Italy, Axis powers, China, Stalin, Franklin Roosevelt, Churchill, Chiang Kai-shek, Charles de Gaulle and Adolf Hitler. 45 total, more than 61 million, 1937 to 1945 killed in World War II. Total, 1945 to 1935, 12 killed in World War II. The four countries that declared neutrality were at war with China until 1937 as a result of the Kingdom of Japan, which sought to rule Asia and the Pacific. 15a did not declare war on the other. The beginning of World War II is generally considered to be from September 1, 1939, with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany, as a result of which France and Britain also declared war on Germany. From late 1939 to early 1941, in a series of military campaigns and tripartite treaties, Germany was able to dominate large parts of Europe and form the axis of alliance with Italy and Japan. During the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in August 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union divided parts of their European neighbors, Poland, Finland, Romania, and the Baltic states. After the formation of ready-made groups in North and East Africa, as well as the fall of France in the mid-1940s, there was practically a war between the European Axis powers and the British Empire. Blitz and the Battle of the Atlantic took place at the same time. On June 22, 1941, Axis forces launched a major offensive against the Soviet Union, creating one of the largest land battles in human history. This Eastern Front trapped the Axis powers and, above all, engaged the Nazi German army in an erosive war. In December 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the United States, prompting the United States to immediately declare war on Japan, which was backed by Britain. After that, the European Axis powers declared war on the United States by uniting Japan. Japan's achievements in attacking the United States created a sense in Asia that Asia was out of Western control. So many defeated armies sided with them. 9. The advance of the Axis powers was halted after the defeat of Japan at the Battle of Midway, after which Germany and Italy lost the battle in North Africa and then in Stalingrad in the Soviet Union. The root of these defeats dates back to 1943 and a series of German defeats on the Eastern Front, the Allied invasion of Sicily and the Allied victories in the Pacific Front returns. The combination of these events took the initiative out of the hands of the Axis powers and forced them to make all fronts respond only to the strategies of the other side. In 1944, the Allies invaded occupied Germany by the Germans, while at the same time, the Soviets reclaimed their lost territories. Between 1944 and 1945, Japan was forced to retreat to many major Asian territories, central and southern China, and Burma, and the Allies were able to withdraw the Japanese Navy and seize key islands in the Western Pacific. The war in Europe ended with the invasion of Germany by the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. The result of the Soviet occupation of Berlin was the suicide of Adolf Hitler and the defeat of Germany on May 8, 1945. Following the Allied declaration of Potsdam on July 26, 1945, and the Japanese withdrawal from the war, the United States bombed the cities of Hiroshima and the port of Nagasaki on August 6 and 9, respectively. Despite the planned operation of the invasion of Japan and the atomic bombing of Japan, the Soviets declared war on Japan and the Soviets invaded Manchuria. After the surrender of Japan on August 15, 1945, the Allied victory in Asia was finalized. Trials were then held to investigate the damage and war crimes committed by the Germans and the Japanese. World War II changed the social structure and system of power in the world, and then the United Nations was formed to prevent similar events, and the victorious powers, including China, France, the Soviet Union, Britain, and the United States, became permanent members of the UN Security Council. United, but for nearly half a century, the United States and the Soviet Union were at war with each other, as Europe struggled to make up for the losses of World War II. The influence of European powers in the world diminished and the African and Asian colonies were removed from European domination. European countries also sought to establish a single political identity and to overcome previous hostilities.